The psychology of people who are silently tired of existing. There is a moment, late at night, when the house goes quiet and the noise of the day finally stops, and something strange happens. You don't relax. You wait. You lie there, eyes open in the dark, and a question creeps in that you've never said out loud to a single person. What would happen if I just stopped performing tomorrow? Not stopped existing. Stopped performing. Stopped showing up as the version of you that everyone relies on, the one who has it together, the one who never asks for help. What would happen? Would anyone notice the difference? Or has the mask been worn so long that even you've forgotten where it ends and you begin? If that question made your stomach tighten a little, I want you to keep watching, because what I'm about to describe is something almost nobody talks about directly. It doesn't look like depression on the outside. It doesn't look like burnout. It looks like competence. It looks like the friend everyone calls first, the employee who never drops the ball, the family member who holds everything together. And that's exactly why it goes unnoticed. By everyone else. And often, most dangerously, by the person living inside it. This is the core paradox we need to sit with before anything else. The very thing that has kept you safe. Your composure, your capability, your ability to keep showing up no matter what, is the same thing now, quietly hollowing you out from the inside. So here's my first question for you, and I want you to actually answer it in the comments before this video ends. When was the last time you did something purely for yourself, with absolutely no audience, no obligation, and no guilt attached? Sit with that for a second. We're going to come back to it. To understand where this exhaustion actually comes from, we need 3 concepts. And I promise, by the end of this section, you'll recognize yourself in at least one of them. The first is hypervigilance. It's a nervous system that learned early on to constantly scan its environment for threat, often because as a child, relaxing wasn't safe. Maybe you had to read a parent's mood before walking through the door. Maybe peace in the house depended on you managing everyone's emotions before your own. Decades later, the threat is gone, but the scanning never switched off. You are still reading rooms, still bracing, still managing how others feel before you've even acknowledged how you feel. The second is what psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott called the false self. What Carl Jung, in his own language, called the persona. This is the version of you built to be acceptable, easy to love, impossible to criticize. It isn't a lie exactly. It's an adaptation, shaped so precisely to what others needed that it became almost indistinguishable from you. The exhaustion isn't from being yourself all day. It's from the growing distance between the persona everyone sees and the real self that almost never gets witnessed. The third is ego depletion, the idea that self-control draws from a limited resource. Every suppressed reaction, every swallowed need, every moment you manage someone else's feelings instead of expressing your own pulls from that same reserve. For people who've spent years over-functioning, that reserve never gets the chance to refill. Put these 3 together, a nervous system stuck in scan mode, an identity built on performance instead of truth, and a regulatory system running on empty. And you get something very specific. Not burnout from one job or one relationship, but a deep, structural tiredness with the entire ongoing project of being a self in front of other people. Here's my second question. Which one of these 3 hit closest to home for you? The hypervigilance, the mask, or the depletion? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. Here's the part most people never say out loud. This is grief. Not grief for someone who died. Grief for a version of you that never got to exist as it actually was. Jung once said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Read that again. Privilege, not a guarantee. For the silently exhausted, that privilege was traded away early. For approval, for peace in the house, for simple survival. And most never agreed to that trade. They just lived it. And underneath the tiredness sits a quiet, unspoken mourning for that. So quiet that even the person feeling it rarely recognizes it as grief at all. The fear underneath all of this isn't failure. It's being witnessed without the mask on. If the persona is what earned love and safety, then the real self underneath becomes, unfairly, associated with the risk of losing it. So the fear isn't, what if I'm not good enough? It's stranger and quieter. What if the real me was never who they actually wanted? That's what makes ordinary moments complicated. A free weekend doesn't feel like rest. It feels like exposure. A compliment doesn't land as comfort. It lands as pressure to keep performing whatever earned it. Even joy gets filtered through a silent audit. Is this allowed? Will this cost me later? When every moment runs through that filter, existing itself becomes labor. So tell me, when you imagine fully resting, with no guilt attached, does it feel relaxing, or does some part of you feel unsafe? Be honest in the comments. You might be surprised how many people answer the same way. This doesn't stay contained. It spreads quietly into nearly every part of life, disguised as personality traits instead of what they actually are. Coping strategies from a context that no longer exists. You might become the friend everyone leans on, with no one doing the same for you, because asking has never felt safe. You might overfunction at work, taking on more than your role requires, because rest has always felt indistinguishable from danger. You might struggle to say no, agreeing long after your body already refused, because disappointing someone else feels worse than disappointing yourself. You might feel paralyzed by small decisions, not from indecisiveness, but because you have so little left in the tank that even minor choices feel disproportionately heavy. You might feel guilty resting, where stillness triggers anxiety instead of relief, because somewhere along the way, stillness got coded as danger. And you might notice the color draining out of things you used to enjoy. Not total numbness, just a quiet flatness. Because so much energy goes into the performance that little is left for the feeling underneath it. None of these are flaws in your character. They're strategies that once kept you safe. The work isn't to shame yourself for having them. It's to witness them clearly. Which one of these 6 did you recognize in yourself the fastest? Tell me in the comments. I think you'll be surprised how many other people relate to the exact same one. So where does this go from here? Not toward becoming someone else. Toward becoming finally whole. One starting point is inner child reparenting, consciously offering yourself the safety and permission you weren't reliably given before. In moments of exhaustion, ask yourself what you needed back then, and try, in small ways, to give it to yourself now. Another is shadow work, Jung's term for welcoming back the parts of you that got exiled because they weren't convenient for everyone else. The anger you weren't allowed, the needs that were inconvenient, the tiredness that had no room to be spoken. Healing doesn't erase these parts. It stops them from draining you in secret. And finally, there's the quiet discipline of choosing softness on purpose, letting an unproductive day pass without narrating it as failure, letting a sentence end in "I need help" without immediately undercutting it. Viktor Frankl wrote that meaning isn't found by escaping suffering, but by choosing deliberately how to respond to what it asks of us. The exhaustion you carry isn't proof something is wrong with you. It's proof you've been carrying something enormous for a long time, mostly alone. Naming it is the first act of putting some of that weight down. You were never broken. You don't need fixing. You need permission to let the mask and the real self finally sit in the same room. So here's my last question, and I genuinely want to know. If you could stop performing for just one day, completely, with zero consequences, what's the first thing you would actually do? Tell me below. And if this found something true in you, share it with someone who might be carrying the same quiet weight.